Declan is one of those students who has an unparalleled energy and passion for his work and his community. He enriches the lives of all of us every day. His dedication to public service and improving access to justice started the day he walked on this campus, and now that I met his mother and aunt, probably much before that, and culminated with him being chosen as a pro bono scholar this past year. But this is not what he has done, what makes Declan so special. It is why he has done it. Declan is a community builder. He realizes that the world is not just about himself, it's about those around him, his family, his law school, and the larger community. He understands a simple premise that in law and in every endeavor, we cannot really go it alone as much as we might pretend we can, and more, that we are only as strong as our weakest community member. No better example of this was his initiative in coming forward, meeting with Dean Monticello and me to address the major issues facing our students in our community after the deaths of Eric Garner and Michael Brown. Balsa, under his leadership and with the strong partnership of his fellow classmate, Liza Pertet, immediately went to work to find ways for the Hofstra Law and Long Island community to better talk and understand these events. And what followed was just one of the most enormously successful and moving events that we have ever had at the law school. I am very proud to have Declan join me at the podium and represent his colleagues.
It's just a minor. It's just a minor. Good afternoon, everybody. Wow, y'all got to do that one more time. This is graduation day. Good afternoon, everybody. That's much better. Dean Lane, faculty and staff, family and friends, and most importantly, my family that just got a little bit bigger, the class of 2016. Thank you for giving me this honor to represent you guys just one last time. And as I understand it, for the last 3 years running, the graduation speaker has come from the Journal of International Business and Law. So I'm happy to keep up with you. Now, I will admit that it was a little bit hard to come up with what I could discuss. How do you capture 3 years in just 10 to 15 minutes? I could have chose the time that Professor Albert chose to end class early because nobody knew the answer. I could choose any random day of torts with Professor Kessler. But everything that I came up with would leave out some of the most important people in the room, our family and friends. So today I will discuss 3 things that got me through law school, and I know the same is possibly true for you as well. And that's family, fear, and faith. And I hope that you can now glean some lesson from our discussion here today. Now, over the course of the last 3 years, I've discovered that family comes in many forms. First, there's a family that we're born into. Now, I see a few graduates here today, and I know some of you are on the stage. Now, graduates, if we could just give a big round of applause for our family and friends that are here. Let's try to begin with that. Family and friends, we could not have made it during the last 3 years without your unwavering support. I know that it hasn't always been the easiest, or that we haven't always been the easiest to deal with during the last 3 years. But you were still there providing encouragement through every trial. Your love persisted through the mood swings, the frustrations, the tears. And I think this is a classic law school statement that you don't understand, Mom. But on behalf of my fellow classmates, I say thank you. Your actions don't go unnoticed, and they are appreciated beyond measure. Now, secondly, there's a family that we chose, our friends who were sitting next to me today. Now, guys, you know we've certainly come a long way from August 2013. As we stood outside this very hall, looking to see who had the blue tag, looking to see who had the yellow tag, looking who was in our section. But little did we know that at the time we were building long-lasting friendships. Now, they say that it's hard to make friends as an adult. But in law school, especially after you get cold for the first time, you make a friend really quick. But now, in just a short number of years, people who were perfect strangers, 3 years later, are now attached at the hip. And now I can say that if I came to Hofstra for no other reason but to meet all of you, it would have been worth it, especially my own core group. So in our class of 2016, we built a family here, and this will probably be the last time that we're all in the same room together, which is a little bittersweet. But I ask that even though we might not be in the same room, let our bond remain. Let our connection and our class serve as an example of the law school experience done a little bit differently. One that is driven by togetherness and not solely by competition. Now lastly, I would be a little remiss if I did not mention the families that we've lost. It's easy to get trapped inside the law school bubble and ignore the world around you. And there are moments in life like the death of a loved one that causes your bubble to burst and forces you to take stock of what's around you. I personally lost my last 2 remaining grandparents during law school. But for every loved one that has passed on, their presence is still felt even in this moment. Their memory serves as motivation for the trials that have and will continue to come. And I'm personally happy to know that now I have 2 new angels advocating for me in a better place. Now, while our family and friends have been a source of encouragement, there are still moments where we were fearful. Now, everybody, I know that you don't know fear until you've walked into Professor Charlo's classroom later. That best fear will kill you. There are only 2 women in my life that can strike fear into my heart with just one look. My mom, over there, and Professor Charlo. But aside from this, there are other fears that exist within the law school experience, such as the fear of failure, the fear that you might not be good enough, and the ever-present doubts as to whether you've made the right decision by coming to law school. Now, my own fears almost got the best of me. They almost paralyzed me. And during our second year, as Dean Lane mentioned, I served as BALSA president. And once I got elected, I was scared. I was never in a position of leadership on that level, and I was afraid of the challenges to come. And so I do what I do in all times of doubt and indecision. I went and spoke to my pastor, who is also my uncle, and who is also my neighbor. So, you know that there's no missing church on Sundays, right? And during our conversation, he revealed something to me that changed the way that I look at fear. See, now we're taught that fear is an inhibitor. Fear is something that keeps people or an individual from doing and being their best. But he told me, because you're afraid, you'll do everything that you can to succeed. Ultimately, he gave me one simple truth, and he said that fear is only a sign that greatness is ahead. See, now for all our doubts and fears, during the last 3 years, in a few short hours, guys, we will accomplish something great. And frankly, greatness is something that this class has excelled in during our 3 years here. Greatness has been shown in a veteran who served his country in Afghanistan and didn't end his passion for service once he traded his Army uniform for a suit. Instead, he championed veterans' issues and committed his time in Hofstra to facilitating clinics, and this year, along with myself, serving as a pro bono scholar, helping veterans with their legal issues. Greatness has been shown in our graduating members of HTAA. Come on. Now, their efforts and outstanding abilities have allowed them to excel in competitions from New York to Texas. And they have single-handedly raised the advocacy profile of the school in just their 3 years here. And last but not least, greatness has been shown in a group of African American students who gathered together to witness the events of Ferguson and subsequently New York. These students, in the aftermath of those events, were personally pained by what they saw and wondered whether they could effect long-lasting change as law students and eventually as lawyers. But instead of being bitter, these students turned their pain into an opportunity. It was an opportunity to educate their fellow students and the community about legal issues surrounding these events. It was an opportunity to educate their fellow students about the lives of Michael Brown and Harry Garner, and those who would follow, like Walter Scott, Akai Gurley, 12-year-old Tamir Rice, Samuel Dubois, Freddie Gray, and Sandra Bland. It was an opportunity for everyone to know that the lives of these individuals mattered. And an opportunity to pledge that such miscarriages of justice won't take place when we sit in positions of influence. Not counting the numerous individuals' awards and accolades that we've garnered along the way, these examples serve as a testament of the impact that you, the class of 2016, have left during your 3 years here. Now, in spite of my new outlook on fear, there were still moments where fear crept into my mind. Throughout my life, and especially during my 3 years here at Hofstra, I've come to the conclusion that one of the best ways to battle fear is with faith. Now, everybody, like I said, we're family, right? We're family, right? Yes. All right. And as family, I'm going to share a story with you that I really love to tell, but it's a little fitting for this occasion. Now, I want you to imagine a woman who's just given birth. Now, at a time in her life, what should be one of the most joyous occasions, this woman was distressed. You see, her baby was born 3 months premature and at just 2 pounds. As the doctors returned, their diagnosis was grim. The doctors told her that if your baby survives, that he will be either blind, mentally challenged, or paralyzed on one side. But she was distraught, to say the least. But you see, this was a woman that was filled with faith. Now, the words of Scripture say that faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. Faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. Now, in spite of the doctor's diagnosis, this woman petitioned before the highest judge that there is and recited affirmations for 110 days that her son would be okay. Now, those 110 days weren't easy. During that time, the baby experienced seizures, blood transfusions, and a grade 4 brain aneurysm. Now, there are only 5 grades, people, and it's pretty serious. But in spite of all of that, happened around her to make her doubt, the woman still professed that her son would be okay. And 2 months later, that same baby found the strength to fight and to pull out the tubes that were breathing for him. That woman's faith was made real in that moment, and the baby was released months later. But you see, everybody, that's not the end of the story. See, little did that woman know that at 20, that baby would graduate from college. Little did that woman know that at 23, that baby would graduate with a master's degree. And little did she know that that baby in just a few short hours will graduate from law school. I say this not to gloat, but I say this to demonstrate the power of faith. Now, if the faith of one mother can do all that, what can the faith of a future attorney do? Today, like Abraham Lincoln, I can say all that I am and ever hope to be, I owe to my mother. I pushed through because of her faith. And now her faith has become my faith. These last 3 years haven't been easy. And I'm a grown man, everybody. A grown man. And I've cried more times during these last 3 years than I have in my life. But in spite of all that has happened, I've had the faith to believe that I would see this day 3 years later. And everybody, the same is true for you. 3 years ago, this was but a dream. You couldn't see it physically, but in your mind's eye, you could see yourself walking across the stage. In spite of all that you've experienced, the disappointments, the missed opportunities, the setbacks, you still had the confidence that the dream that you hoped for would come to pass. Class of 2016, today your faith has been made real. Today is the evidence of all that you've hoped for, providing assurance for a previously uncertain future that you couldn't see. Class of 2016, I'm wrapping up. Your journey continues after today, and life will continue to get just a little bit more real. But in the times you feel like you can't make it, remember that the road that led you here was built on faith, fear, and family. And it's that same road that will lead you past every challenge after today. Thank you, everybody.
Any of you have ever asked why anybody would want to be the dean of a law school? Here is the answer. Where is Mrs. McPherson? Could she just stand up? I can't see it. Where is McPherson here as well? I don't see him. Stand up.